Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Team Down TV's coverage of the CG League of Legends Oceanic Open Ladder Tournament number 2. My name is Uwe here with Rusty Bullbags, and we are into Game 2 of tonight. It's going to be Righteous Hypercarry on the red side, going up against Villains on the blue side. Bit of representation for New Zealand League of Legends here. And these guys have been so strong. Last week, I think they were in the top 4 or something. Correct me if I'm wrong. They were huge. Now we get to see them. We didn't actually get to see their games last week. The picks and bans are going very, very quickly, ladies and gentlemen, because they've already sort of been done. I think we actually had a proxy or something similar. So they're sorted out. We're going to go straight through it. Rusty, what are we seeing so far?
Well, so far we're seeing Chippy's wanting to pick that Cassidy top lane. Looks to be against the Riven. I'm not sure on the actual pick orders because they are just re-picking now. So I would have assumed that the Cassidy would have been a last pick into the Riven. Interesting pick to me. I feel like either or, whichever one was picked last. I'd say Riven was picked into the Cassidy. The sole purpose of the Riven is to take a poopy on the Cassidy. And that's essentially what he's going to attempt to do there. Other than that, the Jarvan pick from... I've already forgot the team. I'm so sorry. Scam Diggity over here on the Jarvan, probably taking that away from Dulce, who's been known to only play Jarvan and Lee Sin when available. You can see the Vi ban over here from Dulce's side, looking to get rid of that from the other team. I'm not entirely sure what champions they main, but I'm assuming Vi's got to be a very high champion up there. Chippy's also having that Aurelia ban from him. He's known to be a very scary Aurelia.
All right, well, I'm interested to see if Chippies gets the poopies or if he gets some mad frags in the top lane. Look, I mean, it looks like a lot of bans going in this direction as well, with the Aurelia and Lissandra taken sort of off the table. Rek'Sai, I think she's even available to pick here, but they banned her anyway, so no worries. I mean, the team might not even be the same bans as well. I think the pick should be the same. But nonetheless, we're pretty much in, so champions already locked away. Let's take stock of things here, of course. It's going to be another Caitlyn Thresh bot lane, similar to what we saw last game from Fortnite. And this time, I'm not even going to start to wax poetic about how Caitlyn is super strong in lane and then sort of scales off. We'll have to see how they perform in that lane. It's actually really similar because it's got that Lee Sin in the mix as well. So minus the Orianna, obviously now that is going to be over on Sour Breadman. Zeratul going to be playing Jace. So a lot of these matchups are actually going to be highly reminiscent of what we've already seen, with the exception now of a Graves in the bot lane for Remen the Lemon. And it is, of course, going to be the Riven for real Rikonara. And you said, the Riven obviously designed to sort of try and shut that Cassidy down really early on. Is that enough to promote a lane swap, especially now with the Krugs given that early level 2, Rusty? Or do you expect both these teams to go for standard lane assignments?
I don't think you would want a lane swap as the Villains. You've got the Cassidy and you kind of want to take the matchup. I know it doesn't seem like an ideal matchup into a Riven, but you'd probably prefer that than the 1v2 matchup where there's actually zero chance of you coming out on top of that lane. The only thing that's going to happen is you're going to get denied more minions and you're just not going to get you're only going to get levels essentially, and you need to try and find kills through roaming. Interesting thing to note here is that Zeratul's taking the teleport in the mid lane here against Sour Bread Man. One of the differences from the last matchup is that Orianna had exhaust, and now she has Ignite, and Zeratul, who the Jace last game would have had Ignite, now has Teleport. So you'll probably look to see some rotations made on the map every time a gank comes out or a counter gank to try and cement that early to mid-game lead and really push through an objective-based win.
And look, you can also expect the Dragon Control is going to be important as well. With that extra teleport aboard for Villains, they're going to have a little bit more flexibility in their movements now. If they need to get there in a pinch, or they need to respond to anything happening over the map. Heck, it might be a 4v2 butt party in the bot lane if any sort of fight starts, and there's a lot of flexibility for this to happen. And a little bit differently to what we saw last game, I think it was Moya on the Orianna. Ended up taking, I think, the exhaust to deal with the Jace, and obviously, as we said, cut his resistance is down, as well as his damage output. Sour Breadman feeling confident on Orianna, going for the Ignite here, and obviously Zeratul not going to have that Ignite available to him as well. So we might even see a different story to what we saw last game, in which we saw the Orianna and Jace actually just sort of slap each other with wet pool noodles at 5 paces instead of actually trying to kill each other properly until the real fight started happening around the bottom lane and the Dragon Pit. So a little bit more potential for Sour Bread Man, especially in that level 6, to actually straight up fight Zeratul and try and kill him. But we'll have to wait and see if that really is going to be the plan for him. It's the one Ignite on the entire team there of Righteous Hypercarry. No Ignites, of course, on Villains at this stage.
Yeah, I think given the fact that Zeratul does have teleport on that Jace for the Villains there, Sour Breadman will probably look to aggress a fair amount in the mid lane. Like, there's no offensive summoner that Zeratul can use to trade with Orianna and Orianna's got plenty of utility to be able to sustain through trades, and having that ignite threat is actually a big deal for laning phase. You don't really appreciate it as just a summoner spell, but when it's put down on you and you've got 300 health, you have to flash away from everything, because any other source of damage will kill you, and it's a big threat in laning phase, so we'll look to see how that pans out.
Alright, big shout outs of course to Cyanide on the observer duties tonight. You can follow him at Twitter at Cyanide31 if you'd like to hear plenty of interesting opinions about League of Legends. But that's alright, so was it Cyanide or Cyanide31? Or TDTV_Cyanide. I'm actually getting berated by my producer here in the background. You can't hear it. It's probably just as well you can't, but it's TDTV_Cyanide. That's his lol name is Cyanide31. So shouts to him as always. The man on the camera. So going to be into game very, very quickly. The blue side's going to be Villains. Red side is going to be Righteous Hypercarry. And as we said, as we've already seen before, and we're looking for the level 2. I mean, while Krugs are there to be taken before lane happens, I'd be interested to see if Pengu and the carrier are actually going to try and do that and make something happen. And, you know, Caitlyn obviously sort of has to rely on some auto attacks at range and harassment in the early stages. But between the two of them, there's surely enough damage to make a kill happen if they really wanted to do that. Tell me about Graves Morgana. I mean, what's the thinking behind this sort of lane assignment? Is the Morgana just to deal with Thresh, and why the Graves?
Morgana essentially is, as I've said before, you're looking to not really be in the laning phase besides hitting binds and stopping the Graves from dying, but presence that a Morgana can have, if done right, is pretty high, just not as much as a Thresh. Now, they're going to do double golems most likely. That'll give them level 2 on whichever champion they choose. I've seen it go to a Thresh before, because you can cheese, just sit in the bush, get level 2 and have a hook and flay ready at your disposal, and Caitlyn can just right click and there's nothing they can do. The Graves into the Caitlyn matchup is one that interests me though. Now, Caitlyn's range is really high, whereas the Graves' is really low. So the way that this works is the difference between the champions is not just range, it's that the Graves is also extremely tanky. So what he's going to try and do is probably just trade constantly, just continuously. Every time he can dash into the Caitlyn, he's going to dash into the Caitlyn and trade. And having that Morgana spell shield will be extremely useful for that. It'll stop the Thresh from denying the trade from happening, and that's where Graves can come into his stride and really have some presence in the lane.
Well, here we go to grouping as 5 here by Villains. They're going to come straight towards us. A buckshot coming out. Oh no, Rim and the Lemon getting caught up in that one. It's a Dark binding on towards the carrier. But only Dolphs has enough damage here to follow up and get that kill. It's a flash away. And Dolphs won't try and follow up on it. But, I mean, that's enough. You know, sometimes it's not always about getting a kill. It's about sending a message. And I think the line is in the sand right now. You can see it's a real aggressive mindset coming out here for Villains. They're going to back away happy enough having burned the flash. And Rim and the Lemon, of course, is going to be a prime target in those early levels for Dolphs to come in and pick up the kill.
Yeah, and they actually burned both of the bot lane's flashes, so I would be surprised if Lee Sin does not come bottom for a gank, or even a 2v2 kill between the lane themselves, because there's just so much less utility available for Righteous Hypercarry now. So it's really well done by Villains to actually get a successful invade, even though they didn't get a kill or a buff. They still got what they wanted, and that was something.
All right, you could see it was actually a Krug start for Dolphs. He didn't want to go for anything sort of up towards his blue buff there, so he will be around the bottom side of the map in the early stages. You can see Scam Diggity. It's actually going to be a mirrored sort of route here for the junglers. As straight away Scam Diggity wanting to come forward into that jungle and probably just pop a ward down and disrupt Dolphs a little bit here now in the bot lane as well. Pengu and the carrier just trading out at length. Here comes, Scam Diggity wants to come in. He's in the bush. I don't know if Dolphs is aware of this one. Oh, there's a flag of drag. Scam Diggity comes on in. Dolphs will take the red, but will he have the health? It isn't a red buff on Scam Diggity. The flash is going to be coming over. The martial cadence hit should really hurt right now. There it is. Takes a big chunk of Dolphs himself. It's going to have to be a... Oh, he's missed the dragon strike. That is brutal. And unfortunately, nothing is going to be given over towards Scam Diggity there. Dolphs will go low, and you have to be a little bit quiet for the next minute or so. But, man, you know, Scam Diggity would have loved that kill.
He could have had that kill, I think, anytime he wanted. The error there was not denying the red buff. Now, like, Lee Sin got that red buff. He managed to get a bit of health back from getting the kill, I think. And actually missing the Q from the Jarvan was a big thing. Like, all of that time spent invading, and Lee Sin still got his buff. He's just going to recall, come back with full health. Jarvan still not having that buff means that there's going to be gank potential coming out from Lee Sin where the Jarvan still needs to actually do his buff.
Look, we've really got to give some airtime to the flex mix of Cassidy and Jace, by the way, because Jace has gone top lane to really harass down the Riven, and Cassidy has just decided to go mid. So a little bit different to what we conjectured would be the situation earlier on. And I mean, there's a lot of freedom there for villains to just sort of swap on that depending on what was picked. And I mean, Riven was, designed to deal with Cassidy. So you know what you do? Send Zeratul top lane.
Yeah, it was actually a pretty smart decision. I blindsided the idea of putting the Cassidy mid when the option of lane swapping was brought up. I just assumed lane swap in my head meant putting into the 2v1 situation. But yeah, great decision to actually put the Cassidy against Orianna. It's a much more manageable lane, I suppose. It's still pretty rough, and I feel like the Jace into Riven can still be average if the Riven manages to get a lead, but overall a very smart decision and well done by the villains to actually do that swap.
Okay, now into the lane as well. Remember the limit actually ahead in CS here? Managing to put down plenty of harassment towards Pengu. Remember, the closer you are when you use Buckshot, the more likely you're going to be able to get 2 of those 3 prongs or even 3 if you're real close in terms of damage onto your enemy. Extra damage. More damage, more damage. Can't really complain about that at all. And you can see now, like, Raccoon are really being pressured here in that top lane, and Dolphs is actually hanging around the place as well, because Zeratul has managed to knock him down to about 33% of his health, and just not a great lane for Raccoon when he maybe thought... he kind of walked into the lane swap, if I'm honest here. I don't know how Champion Select went in the first place. We didn't obviously see that, so it's a bit hard to say. But, I mean, even in the mid lane as well, it's looking good for Chippies, should I say. Now, Scam Diggity and Dolphs just trading a bit there. It was a good position from Scam Diggity to be there, ready for any sort of dive that was going to happen. And I don't really think we'll see too much there. Well, Dolls wants to fight Scam Diggity yet again. I mean, a cheeky fadeaway Q here will pick up the kill, but the flag and drag. Dolls is in a bit of trouble. Red buff ticks down. He will get dropped. And of course, it'll be the Carvin, who's the cool guy that looks away and walks away without looking back when he picks up the kill. So Dolls a little bit too deep there. Red buff, OP. Raccoon are now going to have a little bit more breathing space under his own turret.
Yeah, you could call it a little bit of luck there that the red buff secured that kill. The last tick of the red buff got it, but the foresight from Jarvan knowing that if I get any closer to this Lee Sin, he could freely Q me, and I might die for this trade. So it was good of him to actually... He knew that Riven would at least be able to secure the kill regardless, so it was good that he did that and had the foresight to get out of a sticky situation before anything, and lucky to get the kill with the red buff. So well done to him.
Yeah, that was first blood as well, so Scam Diggity picking that one up. Only having 9 CS there, so very, very actively sort of trying to counter jungle and counter gank so far. Has yielded good results. Raccoon is still low though. I mean, despite Scam Diggity picking up the kill there, and is really just forced to play very, very cagily around Zeratul at this stage. Too much poke really, and it's a 13-12 CS lead, should I say, to the Jace.
It's a part of that matchup, having the melee champion against the ranged champion, especially with the poke potential that a Jace can bring out. It's always going to be an awkward lane as such to be the Riven in. But Riven has the potential to jump onto the Jace at any stage that she pleases, essentially, with the spells. Assuming that the Mercury Hammer isn't going to come out and deny everything, it all comes down to how it's played. It's a very, very volatile matchup, I'll call it.
Raccoon dashed into an accelerated shock blast there. I don't think she was really going to do any sort of follow-up there. The carrier just getting some harassment on a 4-shot there with his empowered auto attacks. And despite this, it's very, very even in that bot lane there. And really, no Rem and the Lemons flash is available again. So those early kills that went away from him now, not so bad. Now Dolph's got himself into the bot lane. The Q will hit onto Rem, and he will be able to follow that one up. That is very deep, the carrier, as he goes in. And Dolph decides not to follow up there on that resonating strike. So very, very quick visit there from Lee Sin towards the bot lane. Gil's no results, and now he's going to go in towards where that Dragon Pit is there, and that's 4 Scam Diggity away. It was a good movement down by Chippies as well, just to contest. But look, you can actually see, I think, a bit of movement there by the carrier actually coming up towards Dolphs to assist him if he needed it, but he might even end up coming back. It might even be some work on towards this Dragon. We'll have to wait and see. They're just killing Scuttle Crab at the moment. They picked that one up. It might just be that.
I think Jarvan needs to spend a little bit more time in his jungle here getting some levels. He's only level 3 at the moment, and I mean, mid lane is a level 6, top lane is a level 6, and even the bot lane, who's duo, level 5. So to be level 3 in a situation like this, you're not going to be relevant for a long time unless you can catch up.
Right, 4-shot now, knowing finally that the carrier not in the bottom lane, comes forward, tries to land the Dark Binding, and it's going to force Pengu back. Very limited mana on him as well, and now, Raccoon, this is kind of where his opportunity comes up. He is fairly healthy, hasn't taken too much poke, and he can sort of come in and try and combo out on towards Zeratul. But it's going to have to be a lot of damage. It's going to be well played, so it's going to be quite safe at this stage for the Jace, at least for the time being. Obviously, level 6 haven't come up already. Now, for Chippies as well, going to have that freedom to maybe start to do some roaming now, especially combining with Dolphs. And the carrier looks like he's pretty keen to move around the map as well.
Yeah, I noticed that It might be a personal opinion, but going for the Fiendish Codex as Oriana into a matchup against Cassidy, especially when he hits 6, is asking to take free damage. As we see the Jarvan do a little bit of a cheeky poke there, but you can see before when the Cassidy did the QE combo, it actually did a lot of damage to Oriana, and lane with a Cassidy, you essentially want to be able to control from start to finish what that champion does to try and deny the roam that he can do at 6 whenever he really likes. You'll see Thresh will start to roam as well, and knowing that it's essentially a damage test, you come to lane after recalling, you poke, you see how much damage you can do, and you get a feel for the lane, and now Chippies knows that he can do that damage, so at any stage you could see a roam from a jungler or Thresh, as you can see he was before, come in and pick up a cheeky kill out of nowhere.
Look, I mean, Athene's is back in the game. Still looks like Sour Breadman, well, not sort of really wanting to go in that direction. Still one of them, really, Nomicon, yeah. So his magic resist options are a little bit limited at this stage. He doesn't really have much to deal with that sort of combo coming out from Chippy. So yeah, he's not going to be super durable. And Chippy's obviously has been working his way towards a Rod of Ages. So definitely going to be a little bit tankier than his opposition in lane. And look, all over the map, CS is really quite even with the exception of that top lane. And Raccoona really isn't that far behind it all. So, you know, I guess the big place here and the places where we start to see this game unfold is going to be the involvement of junglers. It's going to be working around objectives like Dragon. It's going to be teams getting themselves caught or trying to catch out their opponents here. Look at Remen coming forward there, getting the most effectiveness out of that buckshot as well as he gets right up in Pengu's face. It's going to be a flash burn from each side, 4-shot, and Pengu having to burn theirs.
It was pretty clever there actually by the Graves. Put down the cloud, denied the vision from Caitlyn, and all the Caitlyn could see, I'm assuming, was the flash Morgana bind and reacted with a flash. Now, I don't think it was going to hit, but given the situation she was put in, it forced the summon a spell in return, and that's pretty good getting rid of a Caitlyn's flash for just the Morganas.
Okay, so there we go. Another bit of a shield coming out from 4-shot there. Pengu did use Ace on the hole just to throw some extra damage down to Remen. He tried to dodge it, to no avail, but it looks like now Dragon being pinged away, so it looks like everyone wants to go there at this stage, and you can see Chippies does have the teleport, so does Raccoona as well. Zeratul has that one available. Just walk down at this stage. 4-shot on Remen are there. The hook towards Remen is a good one. Will they shift their focus now as well? Remen has to back right away. The box goes up as well, catching 4-shot. Here's the teleport as well. Flag and drag is not going to actually be used. Just the Demacia sent it into the pit there. It's a 1-for-1 so far. It's a good shock blast as well from Zeratul now. There's the shockwave. Going to knock Chippies and Zeratul back around, but there's just too much health on those guys and too much damage coming away. It's 3-for-1 trade going in favor of villains at this stage, and the Dragon surely will be picked up.
Yeah, I just feel like at this point in the game, there's no real answer for what villains can offer. Everything that they do seems to be, like, in a situation that's going to be great for them. As you see, like, the Zeratul poke, the Chippies being able to out-trade an Oriana in itself, it's just putting them in a situation that's very dire for the Righteous Hypercarry here.
And you can also see there's not a lot of damage on that shockwave from Sour Breadman as well. Not yet, anyway. We know that Marilla Nomicon does have a bit of AP behind it, that 80, but it wasn't devastating, that's for sure. And it was a good hit on towards Chippies and Zeratul, but Scam Diggity already had his back turned. He was already running away. Just wasn't going to work out. Zeratul not able to get the acceleration on his shock blast there. Raccoona are deciding to come forward. There's always going to be Thundering Blow available for Zeratul to knock that Riven back, so definitely going to be a bit frustrating for Riven as she tries to jump on and do as much damage as she can. You can see in the top lane she took a lot of damage in the trade. There's the flash forward from Zeratul just to make sure he got the extra damage from his AoE, and that really has kind of spelled out the situation for Raccoona so far in this game. Close, but no cigar. That one is in Remen's mouth, and he's going to keep that one to himself. Now we can see that after the side scheme, Dignity is there inside the mid lane as well. Tough to try and gank onto Chippies though.
Yeah, he's at a situation where I don't think Chippies is going to be too gankable unless he uses the ult offensively like that to clear a minion wave and they're all ready for it to actually react. But like in this situation, top lane seems to be losing as a Riven to a Jace. In this situation, it's not very ideal for the Riven. I think Riven could have fought with the Brutalizer spike, but now that Jace has items, a little bit ahead in levels, I think, at that stage. It's 10-9. It's a lot harder for the Riven to be able to continue to trade. Jace can just Thundering Blows, knock away the Riven, and just poke her out pretty much constantly. And I mean, she's got the CDR boot, so she can continue to jump in, but there's only so many times you can jump in before you've got no health left to do it. And that's what Jace is doing to the Riven right now.
And look, Zeratul crucially picked up a heck of a lot of kills in the last passage of play. He's now 3-0-1, so a great start for Jason. You can already see that Manamune has been built, combined with the Brutalizer, so he's doing good damage for this stage of the game. Pengu gets caught in the Dark Body, but there's the trap that is sprung. We can see Dolph was right there to get the damage done. Collateral damage doing a lot towards Pengu, but now Remen trying to chase down. We're going to see also the Lantern being thrown out as well. Not really for anything, but adding insult to injury. 4-shot! Just going to dodge past the pulled over Peacemaker. Well then, oh wow, the hook doesn't even connect either. My God. Unfortunately, it's going to be Morgana just walking straight away, but the gank was good. Dolphs came straight out of the bush there, was well baited. Tengu going to live to fight another day.
Yeah, it was a good counter gank basically by the Lee Sin, knowing that they were going to try and fight, and they did try and pick a fight, but he was conveniently there at the right time, just having that game sense, and maybe it was pretty well baited by villains there from their bot lane to put them in a good situation where they can take whatever they like, and in that case it was the tower because the dragon's not up. So well done by them.
Okay, gold lead starting to stretch out a little bit now, at least in the favour of villains away after picking up that first tower there. They used it as an effective bait, as you just saw earlier, and Raccoonera and Chippies, should I say, actually trading a little bit there as well. Went quite close. Lord, there's the shockwave being used. Zeratul actually going to be able to jump in and pick that one up despite Scam Diggity sort of being on the scene already. Should be a kill for the Java now, but Scam Diggity, we know he tends to miss his Dragon Strikes every now and then, but I don't think he'll miss that one. Nope, jabs him right in the kisser, and that's going to be a kill for him now. Raccoonera wants to come towards Chippies. Chippies hanging around in lane quite low. Very confident, just obviously with that Rift Walk available to him there, and Raccoonera needs to be careful not to take too many tower hits as he tries to dispatch that Cassidy.
Yeah, this is the matchup that the Riven wanted from the get-go. You know, you want to be in a lane where you can bully someone freely, and I mean, he's taking damage back because the Cassidy had essentially a free lane prior, but you can see he's still coming through in that lane. He's going to be able to continue to do what the Cassidy does more often and more consistently. As we see Thresh come in for a cheeky kill here.
Well, Raccoonera went for the wind slash there as well. Now it's going to be a 1v1 with the carry. The Death Sense is going to miss. It's good movement there from Raccoonera to get away, but of course Chippies is going to always have the Rift Walk available. Will it be a turnaround? No, the exhaust was timed for the carrier. Throwing straight on towards Raccoonera, and so far, Noah hasn't been flexing his Noahs at all.
Dolph's just got a cheeky little fight in there. Morgana picked him off, but lucky enough to survive there. He has the mobility to get out of it. Well done by the carry on that roam. It was very unexpected, and it is never foreseen by top laners, it seems. The support coming top lane is just one of those things where you're like, what is happening? Like, how is that even possible at this stage of the game?
Wow, from downtown, 4-shot going to clip onto Dolphs with the Dark Binding. Sour Breadman already did a fair bit of damage as well on that one, so an important pick there. Going to get a Shock Blast from Zeratul as he comes down, but a bit of advantage, a bit of a power play maybe, going over towards Righteous Hypercarry. If they can work onto this tower, it'd be good, but the counter siege is excellent from Zeratul's Jace.
Yeah, you'll look to see probably Righteous Hypercarry, not necessarily to siege yet. Riven's not the ideal sieging champion as well. They probably have her splitting almost the entire game, and I mean, they've got 2 teleports over on the villains to react to that accordingly, but Riven eventually is going to become so strong that it doesn't matter who she's laning against, she'll be able to kill them. It's just the way that Riven works, as far as I've seen anyway. And I mean, you'll probably see villains look to force objectives, while Righteous Hypercarry look to try and pick kills.
Okay, well here we go, the back and forth again in that top lane, like we're expecting to see. Chippies coming out on top in that one, of course. The extra shield coming from his Q is absolutely a huge bonus there, of course. He's actually getting a fair bit of shield there, over 200 actually, which is pretty good considering what he's trading with there. So, and Riven has that as well, of course, but the trade's going in favour of Cassidy thus far now. Scuttlecrab being taken away, and Dolphs, as well as the carrier, looking just to lock things up a little bit here on the blue side of Righteous Hypercarry's jungle, at least gain some control, because Dragon is 10 seconds away, and the first one already went to villains, in case you missed it. Now, Raccoonera are going to be forced to stun away on Chippies. Chippies doing a heck of a lot of damage, though. Raccoonera is timing his dashes very, very well to avoid damage, though. He's always using that Valor as the orb is coming towards him from the caster. But now Scam Diggity's been caught there. The flay out of the Flagging Drag was excellent from the carrier. Dolph surely will have the damage to deal with this. No, but the flash from Scam Diggity. There's the lantern. Will it be enough? No! Dolph gets it turned on him yet again. That's the second time this game this has happened. And the carrier just had to look on in dismay as his jungler gets shredded. Now the Dragon is more of a possibility for Righteous Hypercarry as they come towards it. Ramen, though, gets blown up. Zeratul, the man on the other end of that shock blast. And, well, I don't think they need Dolph to take this one away, Rusty.
Yeah, I don't think there's much they can do in this situation. They did blow up Dolphs, but the Dragon was already being started, and they have complete and total vision control of that area. It's really risky to go anywhere close.
All right, now we'll see the teleport always coming in there. I think someone used it. I'm not sure. Nonetheless, the box went up. Of course, the carrier now just trying to work on towards mid lane with the rest of his team. 4-shot taking a bit of damage, and I was talking about the Riven Shield, I think. I'm not sure. Oh, it's too late now. Maybe I got it wrong. Either way, Cassidy's Shield obviously doesn't block that AD. You know, coming forward as well. They're going to take away this tower quite easily. Of course, Riftwalk and Dark Passage is a very, very handy combination for relocation. Sorry, I'm getting stumbling over my words a little bit here. But the point is, 2 towers now going over towards Villains. They're going to take a blue buff as well. Zeratul double buffs on that Jason. He's starting to get really big, Rusty.
Yeah, he's got his Brutalizer, he's got his Manamune. I'm assuming he has a fair bit of money. He'll probably get a Hex Drinker next time he backs and look towards the last Whisper with the rest of his money there. I think he's got about 1900, yeah, 2000 gold now, so he's definitely going to get those items. Kassadin working towards that Zonias now. Once he gets that, it's going to be an extremely hard Kassadin to kill. Riven having the Tiamat now as well as a big spike on the Riven. A lot of damage increase there. And you see that Oriana's going for that Zonias as well. But she's going to be a fair while away from that because they're just not getting the money that the villains are getting from all these objectives and kills that they're finding everywhere.
Yeah, and I mean, Sourbrand Man's got 3 assists on him, but he doesn't actually make any kills of his own. The majority going over towards Scam Diggity there. So Jarvan getting a bit of money, but again, maybe a little bit more spread would be ideal for Righteous Hypercarry. Same situation as we're used to seeing, Raccoona and Chippies trading out. And as we've now learned, obviously, Kassadin Shield doesn't block physical damage, only magic damage. Thank you, Tallywacker. Had to be my own player to make me look like an idiot, but you are spot on. And now we see the recall from Scam Diggity there, so we was considering it, but you can see the movements here of a lot of villains towards that mid side. Maybe a little bit of Zeratul just to throw the Shock Blast in there and pause on that recall. Both teams sort of roaming out around the map, looking for an opportunity, maybe a rotation towards the top side, but again, Dolphs is caught. 4Shot got to do it all on his own. Dolphs finally wakes up, of course. It was a very long duration snare. He did manage to get away. And now the rotation towards the top side for villains here. Raccoona are going to have to back away again. The Lantern's being used in the same way as it always had been. Shock Blast to follow up as well. 3 turrets to none. And it looks like so far, Righteous Hypercarry lacking the ability to get on towards these towers. Now, Chippy's just going to jump away with that Rift Walk again. Scam Diggity coming forward. Does have the ball on him. Will it be the combination? No, I don't think it got reset. Sourbrand Man with the ball back on him. But there is the Shockwave. Dol's going to get completely taken out there. Windslash doing a lot of damage as well. But Riven will go down in response now. 2 kills for villains as well. Chippy's going to jump in towards Sourbrand Man as well. This has not ended well at all for Righteous Hypercarry. It's just Rem and the Lemon, and he might try and be cheeky with the collateral damage at super long range, but I think he's just going to back right away. I mean, look, this is where a trickle starts to turn into a flood if you're the villains. This is probably their next tower they're going to pick up here. A little bit of an attempt at wave clear by Remen. I'm not sure. No, it won't be enough.
Yeah, look, I just don't think there's much that they can actually do at this stage to stop the villains from this snowball. The champions they've got and the situation that they're in is very dire for Righteous Hypercarry. I mean, the Kassadin being big is scary enough, but you mean you've got a 7-1 Jace from the top lane here who can pretty much do it all. He's a ranged carry that can poke, and then he just dives in and does phenomenal damage from a melee range. What's the answer to this? I mean, Oriana not getting much money at the moment. Riven's not going to have much presence at the moment. I think she will still be able to lose 1v1s against either of these people that could go against her. Both having teleport, in fact, so there is still an answer to that. But there's just... I'm struggling to find a situation that's going to come out besides getting a pick would work for Righteous Hypercarry. Maybe fight for the next objective and try and just get that ideal team fight to put them back in it.
Right, and look, and the only sort of picks that have been happening have been Kira 4Shot. He's been using every cooldown available to him, but it's always been towards Dolphs or someone that's been roaming ahead of his team, and it's not really enough, to be honest with you. And there's really the follow-up from the rest of Righteous Hypercarry to actually convert that over into a kill and the associated gold. And speaking of gold now, it's about a 6.8k gold lead going over towards villains, and that's fairly significant for this stage of the game, and it's really, Rusty, as you can see, a result of it being 4 towers to 0. That translates into map control. Map control is going to translate into more dragons, or easier dragons here as well. I've got to point out that, of course, Hypercarry, should I say, don't have any yet. They're just being choked out completely. 4Shot now got a black shield, but it was Scam Diggity who stepped in front of the ace in the hole. Carry was looking for an opportunity to make a fight here, but it's all about villains just taking control of this map.
Yeah, 4 towers to none, 2 dragons to none. Difference in kills, they've got double the kills. They've got more CS on the Jace, more CS on the Kassadin. Jungle's about the same, AD is about the same, but the respective solo lanes just seem to be hard carrying this game through. The amount of gold difference is phenomenal, and being, as we've said many times, the Jace when he's ahead, very scary. And right now he's 7-1 with the last Whisper Hex Drinker. He must be close to that Muramana. He's got 41 stacks left on that, so he's almost there. Once they get that, I don't know. They'll just siege. Like there's no answer to that siege.
All right, we'll have to see now what happens. Of course, you know, there's even a siege mechanic in a jump forward from Chippy's, jumping back on towards a dark passage as well. They've been doing that as well just to get some poke down, whatever they need. Teleport here towards his bottom in a turret, and the carrier is going to get locked up by the Frost Queen's claim. Zeratul going to be able to back away. Surely he'll try and flex some damage back towards now, but the carrier might just be caught out here. That was a big shock blast, but it's going to be collateral damage to clean up that kill. Zeratul backing away, but having put a huge dent in the health bar of 4-Shot. It looks like Dragon is what Righteous Hypercarry are looking at this stage. Remember, teleport is available on Chippies. In the meanwhile, he's just shoving in that top lane, getting even more gold for his team. 4-Shot super low right now. He's going to have to back right away. There's no chance of him getting in the middle of any fight at this stage. Soul Shackles is down. Zeratul, there we go. He's going to pick that one up quite easily. Dolph comes in a little bit too late to pick up the Dragon. He may be caught out now as well. Pengu trying to do some damage on the back foot as well, but no, that will be the kill. Dolph hits the deck now. Chippies has hit the ground as well. He's going to try and do some more damage towards Raccoonera. You can't 1v2 as a 1-4 Riven. Raccoonera gets completely dropped there. That's the shockwave to pick up Pengu as well. That was a 3-for-4 fight. No, sorry, 2-for-3 fight. Make it a 2-for-4 fight there. Zeratul now starting to clean up South Breadman on his own against two very fed solo laners. And that's a double kill coming up for Zeratul. And the ace, very, very comfortable here. Despite a little bit of a mishap where the carrier got caught out, Zeratul was playing this Jace to perfection.
Yeah, you know, the thing there was the carrier did get caught out and he did die, but they used Graves ult, they used Morgana ult, I believe, for that kill. Now that's going into an objective like Dragon, that's a lot missing, especially in such a reasonably small area where you're going to be forced to fight if they try to contest you. Jace being 7-1, I think he got 4 kills in that fight total. Just, I think, like, 2 of them even with the QE combo. Like, there's not a whole lot they can do against that. Like, you want to go for the Dragon because you want to deny it from the villains. But if you go for the Dragon, you're missing 2 ults. They're still going to be confident enough to try and 4v5 you because they can freely. They're strong enough. And you can see they made the best out of a bad situation where they got a kill. They got the Dragon. That's really good. That's big. But they're still going to be killed. And, I mean, they got aced for that.
Not worth it. I mean, yes, I mean, the percent attack and AP is good. It is good. But it's not enough right now, especially considering that Villains got theirs way, way back in the game and already, took 5 towers off the back of their, objective control and their focus on getting picks and moving through. And you can see now, they've just set up camp near this Baron. You can see Dolph sitting by there as well. I think Pengu was quite close by. They are comfortable crossing this river and just sitting on Righteous Hypercarry's side of the map. You see Chippy's trying to follow up on the ace and the hold damage there on towards Rem and the Lemon. He will go low. Not quite low enough to avoid him from fighting. And there we go, Sour Bread Man as well. Going to capitalize on the Dark Binding to put some free damage down with that command dissonance. At this stage, it's going to be a little bit of a siege situation here as well. We can see off to the side, Raccoonera is sitting and waiting. Zeratul may run into him at this stage. It looks like he might try and head up and push top lane in. Scam Diggity caught off to the side as well. Not really positioned you want to be in here. You might be trying to bait something, maybe open things up for Sour Breadman and Remen to come in and do some damage. He's just going to try and scare them away. Zoning the whole team. Now, where's the follow-up? Scam Diggity goes straight towards Pengu. There's no peel for Pengu yet. He's just left to deal with himself. The carrier hasn't even bothered trying to come and play or anything like that. But there's Chippies in the backline. Going to use his Zonies up. There's collateral damage. There's the shock blast we're waiting for. Sour Breadman forced to flash away now. Scam Diggity as well. Trying to get out, but Dolph chases straight down. Shockwave hits no one in particular, and Chippies will pick that kill up as well. It's a 3 for none. They're going to work on towards this inner mid tower. 4-Shot gets a cheeky little kill out, but that might not be worth it now as the carrier tries to lock him up very, very low. Morgana, if I've ever seen one, Chippy's going to have to back away from that one. Raccoonera gets the wind slash on. Very, very handy execute, but goes very low in the response as well. Dolph will pick that one up with Pengu, and that's another race. They only lost Chippies. They should be able to push through and take so many objectives. I don't know if they can end, but I mean, Baron is an option. This inhibitor is a given.
Oh, wow. Surrender coming out there, actually.
Okay, well, fair enough. I mean, that kind of happens. Not much, I guess, the Righteous Hypercarry could do. It's going to be a 26-minute and 51-second surrender. And I tell you what, that Jace was disgusting, Rusty.
Yeah, that's a word I'm going to love to use for every single time I cast. It was filthy. It's like, there's no answer to it on that team. It's really unfortunate. I mean, like, they knew. Righteous Hypercarry knew that they couldn't let them siege continuously. They had the Dragon buff for increased siege potential on towers. They were just so big in terms of items and damage output that the longer you wait, especially even with the Morellos and Orianna, you can't wave clear for too long now. It's not an Athene's. But, like, they did the right thing. They fought because they knew that they could fight. Or because they had to fight, rather. And it forced a bad situation upon themselves. Needed, but it resulted in the game being lost.
And I feel like it's important to point out as well, the total damage done in this game by Zeratul was, I think, 2.4 times the largest amount on his opposition team. So, I mean, I think Sour Breadman did about 10k. Zeratul did 24k, so that is pretty indicative of the whole situation. I mean, it was a Fed Jace, this happens, and we always talk about that interesting little dichotomy between Fed Jace and, well, not so Fed Jace, and that was a good example of it. In fact, the same could be said of Fed Riven and not so Fed Riven, and of course our man Raccoon there struggled a little bit in that game, I guess, to really put his damage down and get some kills, notches on his belt. But that happens. I mean, the flex pick was beautiful, Casson and Jace. I mean, how did these guys not see it coming? I don't know, Rusty, but it's worked out perfectly for Villains.
Yeah, it just worked out exactly what they wanted to happen. Happened. Villains are a very, very good team. They're a little bit underrated, I would say, just because they've been around for so long, but so many different team names. And I mean, they know how to play this game. They've been playing together for so long, and they just executed exactly how it should be done. So I'm quite impressed with them.
Okay, well, fantastic game. Villains going to be moving up. Righteous Hypercarry down into the losers pit. Again, the same situation with CCG Ghost. They can make their way back up through that lower bracket into the final. So we look forward to see who the lower bracket spits out as their chosen one to try and take on our strongest team from today. But we are well and truly in the mix, ladies and gentlemen, right into the games here happening at the CG League of Legends Oceanic Open Ladder. We're going to be back with round 3 very, very, very soon. We'll try and keep you posted on the chat. Big shouts to you guys getting involved in it as well. Much love to you guys. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back very, very soon. Don't go too far.